So this is a bit of a Mythbusters video. The reason behind this video is our 2014 2-liter turbo diesel Chevy Cruze had a serious breakdown while it was being worked on at the dealership. Through miscommunication, mistrust, and general foolishness, it turned into a very ugly argument because after the car had essentially been repaired and was sitting in their lot waiting for a set of tires, they put on the tires, drove it to their alignment rack, and the engine cut out on the alignment rack and it would not start properly. Now at that point things went south and they became convinced that I was some sort of scam artist who brought the car in knowing that I had accidentally put gasoline in the diesel tank, and I was hoping somehow to scam them to make them repair it. Now, it was ridiculous for a number of reasons. First and foremost, that I brought it there nearly empty, and in order to make the initial repairs, they had added the fuel. But they had an answer for that. They said, no, we have video. We know we put diesel in it. And as by this point, I was pretty angry. I was like, well, then what are we talking about? Well, unfortunately, they talked to some GM technicians who went out on the internet, and there is this goofball theory out there that if you have gasoline in a diesel tank, that it will float on top of the diesel tank, and that you cannot predict when the engine will fail as a result of having gasoline in its diesel fuel, because you don't know when the gasoline will actually be pulled out of the tank and sent to the engine. Now, if you have any experience in organic chemistry at all, you knew this is ridiculous. So while I tried to contain my temper, I tried to explain to them that that's ridiculous. But if GM technicians are out there spreading this nonsense. So the long and the short of it is, with regard to what happened to the Cruze, it wasn't interesting. It was a huge misunderstanding. One of the injectors failed while it was there. It was unfortunate timing, and I did pay him for the repairs because it had nothing to do with anything. It could have failed at any time. It just so happened it failed in their alignment rack. And that became clear at the end when I spoke to the mechanic, who said, yeah, I pulled the injectors. I think it was number 3 was stuck open. So much ado about nothing. However, I did take the time, because it bothered me so much during the controversy, to prove, in my opinion, beyond any reasonable doubt, using good old-fashioned Mythbusters type hypothesis testing, that absolutely under no circumstances can you put gasoline in a diesel tank and expect it to remain separated. So hopefully you'll find this video useful, as I provide a very high budget and extremely sophisticated demonstration of that fact, using 2 bar glasses, a shot glass, a stopwatch on my iPhone, some standard low sulfur diesel, and a shot glass full of gasoline. All right, so curious about this. Is it possible for gasoline added to a fuel tank to float on top of diesel? And this relates to an interesting question. If someone were to put gasoline in a diesel vehicle, assuming that it's not empty, how far do you think you'd get before your engine got trashed? So obviously I don't have beakers and pipettes, so I'm doing this a far more sophisticated way, using bar glasses and a shot glass, because that's how science is done. Okay. You can see my workbench is a bit cluttered. All right. Now the first challenge here, I think, is going to be, can you even see the interface between the diesel and the gasoline? So in addition to doing this in a bar glass, I'm going to add the gasoline with a shot glass. But that's going to be my first question, is can you even tell the difference where an interface might actually be between those two? Well, we'll know soon enough. Okay, now there's a couple of things I'm interested in. One is, with virtually no agitation, can they be kept separate? The other is, with a little bit of sloshing, would they intermix? It looks like, just based on color, we should be able to tell whether there's an interface between the almost totally transparent gasoline and the very yellow diesel, so that much should work. This is the idea of just best case. Can they stay separated? Just my knowledge of organic chemistry, no way. I expect this just to dissolve in. This one, I'll go ahead and slosh a little bit to simulate you're driving around and you've just put some gasoline on your diesel. Now I'm taking the most optimistic case here, where there's plenty of diesel in the fuel and there's just a little bit of gasoline. So the theory would be that if the fuel pump draws from the bottom, this gasoline's never going to hit the engine until you basically suck it dry. So I'll start the stopwatch just to see how quickly, if it does say stratified and then disappear, we'll have some sense of a time signature. It'll be close enough because I can't do it exactly. Okay, so this is the one that here I am at the gas station, and I'm going to pour some gasoline on top of the diesel. And this one, I'll do a little bit more than that. And this one is same idea, but this one I'm going to slosh here. That's about 20 seconds later I added this one. I'm going to try and slosh it down. That's as gentle as I can do it. It's kind of just running down the side of the glass. All right. Now, as I thought, you absolutely cannot differentiate gasoline from diesel with or without sloshing it. And that's kind of what I was trying to tell people. I don't know where this internet myth started. These were organic compounds. Gasoline's basically an organic solvent. It's a mixture of organic solvents. There's no way it would stay separated sitting on top of the diesel. So I have to say, myth busted. There is no way that this is going to get drawn out, however long later. That meniscus looks just like it did before I added it. And now if I drive around at all, just a little bit of sloshing, you can kind of see that there's more gas on the top. Oh, there we go. It's forming a little, and then it disappears. So it does seem like, as I mix it, yeah, look at that. Isn't that interesting? So I'm sloshing around. So I'll still say myth busted, but I think it's not utterly without merit. I think if we put this through a gas chromatograph mass spec, if we could pipette off the top layer from the bottom layer, I think you might be able to see a difference, right? Like right there, I'm going to say that does look more like gasoline than like diesel. All right, so if I leave it sitting there, this is 2 minutes in, it does look like the gasoline is only very slowly mixing. So there's no clear interface, right? I mean, clearly the gasoline did not stay gasoline, but it did not 100% mix into the diesel either. In order for that to happen, you're driving around, it's sloshing around. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. I can see it with my naked eye. This is almost like, what do you call it, when you do the distillation column. It's like a reverse distillation column. It's like you complete the distillation, let it sit, or agitate it a little bit. It is interesting. So here, over the span of about 3 minutes, the dissolution process is taking place. But I would argue, again, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, there's not a clear interface on the one on the right that's sloshed a bit. But there is this, I can kind of see a little more green than yellow toward the top. And on the one on the left, I can discern an interface. So when I didn't slosh it, now you can tell the coloration in the interface is disappearing rapidly. Here it's been about 3 minutes. But that's kind of what I expected to happen. I expected the quiescent one, the gasoline, to dissolve into the diesel slowly. And the one that gets sloshed around, simulated driving, not slowly at all. Okay, so I'll come back here in a bit and see if after more time, if the one on the left, how long does it take for that interface to disappear completely? Okay, so within about 6 minutes, the one on the right again is the one that I sloshed. I'm going to call that just about even. That with or without sloshing, within the 6 minutes, there's essentially no interface. and the gasoline has joined its brother organic molecules in what is essentially one continuous mixture. All right, one last check-in. If you're asking me if I were pulling that fuel from the bottom, would there be a difference between what I pull initially and what I pull at the end? I'm going to tell you within 8 minutes with no sloshing, definitely not. And with any kind of sloshing at all, yeah, I mean, no question, there's nothing there. That's just one continuous mixture of organic solvents. Whereas the one where I tried not to disturb it, it definitely took a few minutes. And there was this little interface region you could clearly see, at least with my eye, if not with the camera. But anyway, it's almost 9 minutes now. I'd say right around like 7 minutes it was gone. So, no. Gasoline, as I thought, being an organic solvent or a mix of organic solvents, will not sit perched on top of diesel fuel.